Hello again. Now we're going to be going over another example in our study guide. This one is another proof. It says using the figure above, prove that vertical angles are congruent using a two-column proof format. So, what are we trying to prove? That vertical angles are congruent. I'm just going to abbreviate that. And how do we show that? Well, what are any pair of vertical angles we have? Well, 1 and 3 are vertical angles, and 4 and 2 are vertical angles. So we can really, if we show that any of those two pairs are congruent, then we have shown that our proof is true. I am just going to pick that we're going to work with angle 1 and angle 3. So I'm going to try to show that the measure of angle 1 is equal to the measure of angle 3. What is given to me? Just the figure above. And it's okay to write something like that because that is all that we are given, and your first reason is always your given. So, what can we figure out from the figure above? Well, we know that the measure of angle 1 plus the measure of angle 2 is equal to 180. How do I know that? Because they're both angles that, when put together, if you add them together, they're a straight line, and a straight line has an angle measure of 180. So, straight line. And I'm going to use some, abbreviations and sloppy writing because it's not that important on the test or whatever you take. There's usually a word bank. It's not too important to remember all the crazy terminology anyway. So where can we go from there? Well, from that logic, we also know that angle 3 and angle 2, when put together, also add up to 180. So I know the measure of angle 2 plus the measure of angle 3 is equal to 180. Same reason. Okay, so where can I go from there? Well, if you notice, both of these things are equal to 180. That means they're equal to each other. So you have two possible choices. You could say the transitive property, if you say that like this is your A, and this is your B, and this is your B again, and it's equal to your C over here, then A would equal C, or you can just say substitution, because if you substitute 180 with the measure of angle 2 plus the measure of angle 3 into here, you set them equal to each other. Either way, you're going to get this line. The measure of angle 1 plus the measure of angle 2 equals the measure of angle 2 plus the measure of angle 3. And I'm just going to say that's substitution. Alright, now how can we get from this line to this line? Well, if you notice that we have a measure of angle 2 on both sides of our equation. In order to get rid of that, you can subtract. If I were to subtract both sides of our equation by the measure of angle 2, what would we have left? That the measure of angle 1 equals the measure of angle 3. And that's just subtraction property. And what do you know? We get basically what we're proving. We have some space left over. And so our last reason, because this would also be subtraction, because it's the same exact line as the one above. So I know the measure of angle 1 equals the measure of angle 3. Therefore, by definition of vertical angles, we have shown that they are equal. The measure of angle 1 is equal to the measure of angle 3. And thus ends our proof.